Early on in his career, Jason Segel learned that success can be fleeting.
I got something to show you that it's gonna make you feel better.
When he was just 18, Jason was cast in a show called Freaks and Geeks. The show was canceled after one season, but not before unleashing some serious talents. Seth Rogen, James Franco, and super producer Judd Apatow. Now, it was Judd who told Jason to shake off the disappointment and start writing his own material, which he did, although quietly he's worried about his own future. Even considered moving back in with his parents, which has got to sting a little bit. But things started to pick up for Jason. He landed a spot on a show called How I Met Your Mother, now in its 7th season.
I'll let you slap me in the face as hard as you can.
You have my attention.
Made a memorable turn in Knocked Up.
She looks smart.
And turned one of his own screenplays into a movie, the awesomely funny Forgetting Sarah Marshall, a film that literally exposed Jason to a whole new audience.
I got a surprise for you.
After Sarah Marshall, Jason was able to do things he really wanted. And as it turns out, what he really wanted was more puppets. Remember the end of Sarah Marshall with the whole Dracula thing?
I'll leave you bleeding in my dungeon.
Jason loved the Muppet Show and wanted to work with the Muppets.
Yeah!
An opportunity to revive his childhood heroes. And it's also a sign that he's taken more control of his career. What happens next is up to him.
You think we should have rented a bigger car?
Welcome, Jason Segel.
How are you? This is great. Thank you for having me.
Welcome back.
Thank you. So you got to meet Kermit.
I got to meet Kermit.
It's a thrill, isn't it?
It's so crazy, man.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the last time you were here, it was for I Love You, Man, and we were talking about the possibility of you doing the Muppet movie.
Yeah. I've been writing this for 5 years. It's finally coming out.
That's crazy.
It was like a real labor of love. But it's like a crazy dream come true. The first time I met Kermit and he read the first line that I had written for him, I literally burst into tears.
Seriously?
Yeah, and I'm a grown man. It was like incredibly awkward. It was in front of the studio executives and everything, and I'm like the executive producer. They're kind of counting on me to like run stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm just crying like an infant. It was horrible.
It's the first thing I ever bought on eBay, ever. When eBay first came out, was I found the Muppet DVD collection.
Yeah.
It was the first TV show host that I connected to was Kermit the Frog.
Of course, yeah.
A lot of stand-ups will point to Fozzie Bear as the first stand-up that they liked. For you, I mean, go back to Sarah Marshall. There's puppets, sure. Man. I mean, like, are you like a puppet guy?
Yeah. I didn't have like...
And I'm not sure, that's not a pejorative, but I don't know that it isn't. I don't know.
I didn't have like a ton of friends growing up. And well, it's not sad. I'm doing fine. I'm like super famous now. Oh man. But I've been 6'4" since I was 12.
Right.
And like I was 6'4", not cool 6'4". I was 6'4", 110 pounds. I just like lumbered around. And when I saw the Muppets, and it's very much the storyline of our new Muppet, Walter, but when I first saw the Muppets, I felt like, oh, I can relate to them. Yeah. You know, it's fine to be different in that group, you know? And then my writing partner said it best in an interview, but as a comedian, the Muppets really are like a gateway drug to comedy. They're the first thing you're exposed to when you're young, and something feels like edgy and dangerous about it. Yeah. There's a sense of controlled chaos that could boil over at any minute, and you feel like you're being naughty when you watch the Muppets. I love them. I love them so much. I do.
You know, that 6'4" thing you're talking about, you know, post Freaks and Geeks, too. I mean, you were in an awkward stage. You're too old to be a kid, but or too big to be a kid, right?
Yeah.
Did you feel some of that when you were in that period where you weren't working as much?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, I remember at one point they told me, my agents, because, like, agents aren't always honest with you. Yeah. I said that tactfully because I have an agent. But they were like, you're really close to getting the part of Dustin Hoffman's son. Like, I'm 1.5 feet taller than Dustin Hoffman. There's no way that's happening. But yeah, there was a point where I wouldn't have cast me in anything except for some sort of like genetic experiment.
But somehow it's worked. Why do you think that is?
I started writing.
Yeah?
That's what changed everything. Judd Apatow, who produces most of our movies, came up to me when I was like 18, 19 years old and said, listen, Jace, I'm going to be real honest with you. I know that you want to be a leading man. You're like a really weird dude. And the only way that you're going to make it is if you start writing your own material, because they can't take it away from you. And there was something very empowering about that because you don't have to wait for permission to write.
But it's hard to hear that, man, because if you think you're going to be a leading man, and that's the story you're writing for yourself.
Yeah.
And then the guy you trust the most, who's giving you so much, says, eh.
Well, but at least he gave me a tool.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't say it's not going to happen. He said if it's going to happen, it's going to be because of like the hardest work you've ever done in your life.
But what you guys are able to do in the Apatow crew, and all your group of friends, and you bring the sense of normalcy in it, but you have a lot of fun at the expense of each other, right?
We do.
Has the Muppet experience changed what kind of stuff you're going to write?
I'm a healthy mix of childlike, and I love like the R-rated movies that we do. I think there's something about Sarah Marshall that, while being very raunchy, is incredibly sweet and honest. You know, it would be very easy like to look at that opening scene and think of it just as a gratuitous male nudity scene. You're welcome. But I think there's something really sad and sweet and vulnerable about a dude getting dumped while he's naked. Yeah. I know because it happened to me, which is what that scene is based on.
That's so horrible,
dude,
man.
I was dating this woman for like 5 or 6 years, and she was away shooting a movie. And she came back into town and called me from the airport and said, I need to come see you, which in my male brain, I really thought meant I need to have sex with you. So she comes to my house, and I'm like waiting as a treat for her in like a sexy naked pose. And she walks in, and I'm like, hey, babe. And she looked at me, and she's like, we need to talk. And nothing good comes after we need to talk.
No.
It's never we need to talk. Boy, you look so sexy. And then this breakup commenced. Yeah. And in my mind, I'm thinking, this is the funniest thing that ever happened. I can't wait till she leaves so I can write this down.
Really?
Yeah, I have a problem, man.
Or after 5 years, you're just thankful that she dumped you so you can move on.
I guess so. I will say this. At one point, I looked down at like my shriveled naked body, and I said, I need to go put some clothes on. She said, yeah, you should. And I went back to my closet. Picking out an outfit for the second half of a breakup is like the hardest outfit you'll ever pick out. And I came out in khaki pants and a button-up blue shirt, like it was fancy dress day at school. And I said, I'm wearing your favorite outfit. It's not her favorite outfit at all.
It's a crazy place to be in your career at this point because you have the writing's worked, obviously,
yeah,
and you
very lucky.
And your friends are also sort of succeeding at the same time.
Yeah.
Do you guys gather and talk about what the next step is together?
We try to work together as much as we can, which is really nice to have the luxury of working with your friends. And Judd got like this fire in his belly that I'm going to show everyone that I was right. And that these people are successful, are going to be successful, and he just wasn't going to let us fail. I mean, it was really awesome. Because there was a time when I was not doing so great. I was like 40 pounds heavier than I am now, and I was playing with puppets all day. The Dracula musical, for example, was not written for Forgetting Sarah Marshall. That was written without a sense of irony to be a legitimate Broadway musical. In my brain, that's what was going to happen. I wrote it in my apartment and recorded it.
Dude, we need to hear that.
Dude, I have it.
We have a radio show on CBC Radio. I will play the whole thing if you send that to me.
I played it for Judd. I was like, hey, man, I think I figured out how to boost my career. And I play this thing for him. And he pushes stop on the CD player. And he goes, Jace, I'm going to give you some advice, man. Don't ever play this for anybody, ever again. And then when we were doing Sarah Marshall, we were trying to think of a unique ending, and I put that in, and I said, I want to put in the Dracula musical. And he literally said, you know what, man, it's your movie. I don't know.
Was that your way of showing him?
A little bit, yeah. Well, it started this whole Muppets thing, so I think it was all meant to be.
Well, we're glad it worked out this way. Stick around. We're going to talk to Jason about high school, both on TV and in real life.
Oh, no.
Anthropology with Segel when we come back.
Come on, everybody's got a passion. You gotta go out there and find it, you know? You gotta find your big, gigantic drum kit. Because, I mean, look, before I found this, man, I was lost.
What is that?
That is my, I haven't seen that in a million years. That's my audition for Freaks and Geeks. That's crazy. I must say, I'm very overwhelmed to see it. It was my first thing called pilot season, where they're like testing out the TV shows, and you get sent this giant pile of scripts. And I looked at the title, and I put the script down because I thought it was a Nickelodeon show or something. You know, I thought it was a kid's show, and then my agent manager told me I needed to read this, and I read it, and it was the most brilliant piece of writing that I had read.
When was the last time somebody called you Dr. Dunk?
Oh my God. That was high school as well. I won a national dunk contest in high school. Believe it or not, at one point I was an athlete. Yeah.
Was that just because you were 3 feet taller than everybody else?
I was very tall, but I was so dedicated. I would watch Michael Jordan Come Fly With Me, which was like a VHS tape I had every night, and just do leg exercises.
Can you still dunk?
Come on.
What was Jake Gyllenhaal like in high school?
He was awesome. He was, I met President Clinton the other day. I can't believe I'm about to make this comparison. But there is a mojo that you can feel resonating a million miles away in the room with President Clinton. And it was the same in high school with Jake. It's like, oh, this guy's going to be a giant star, even at 15 years old.
Did he know he was going to be a star at that age?
I think so. I bet he would tell you no, but I think secretly he knew. He's like, I'm freaking sexy.
What's the most, the dumbest, most expensive thing that you've purchased with your success?
Well, it's only dumb because I could have died.
That counts, by the way.
I bought a Vespa.
Yeah.
I'm like 8 inches too tall to drive a Vespa. I'm 6'4", and I'm driving this Vespa down the street at like 3 in the morning, and like an idiot, I'm listening on an iPod to Bohemian Rhapsody. And I pull up to a red light, and because I'm so tall, when I get to a red light, I have to kind of stand up and stretch my legs, and the Vespa's here, and I'm hearing like an unfamiliar sound in Bohemian Rhapsody, like the sound of a car screeching to a halt. I'm like, is this a remix? And then all of a sudden, bam, I get rear-ended by a car, but because of the way I'm standing, the Vespa just shot out from between my legs, and I was left standing like this, like Wile E. Coyote.
Is that the first time you met Charlie Sheen when he handed you his license? Man, it's so great to see you. Thanks for coming.
Likewise, man. It's always a pleasure.
Jason Segel, the Muppets in theaters November 23rd. We'll be right back. Smart. And turn one of his own screenplays into a movie, the awesomely funny Forgetting Sarah Marshall, a film that literally exposed Jason to a whole new audience.
I got a surprise for you.
After Sarah Marshall, Jason was able to do things he really wanted. Early on in his career, Jason Segel learned that success can be fleeting.
I got something to show you that it's gonna make you feel better.
When he was just 18, Jason was cast in a show called Freaks and Geeks. The show was canceled after one season. And as it turns out, what he really wanted was more puppets. Remember the end of Sarah Marshall with the whole Dracula thing?
I'll leave you bleeding in my dungeon.
Jason loved the Muppet Show and wanted to work with the Muppets.
Yeah!
An opportunity to revive his childhood, but not before unleashing some serious talents. Seth Rogen, James Franco, and super producer Judd Apatow. Now, it was Judd who told Jason to shake off the disappointment and start writing his own material, which he did, although quietly he's worried about his own future. Even considered moving back in with his parents, which has got to sting a little bit. But things started to pick up for Jason. He landed a spot on a show called How I Met Your Mother, now in its 7th season.
I'll let you slap me in the face as hard as you can.
You have my attention.
Made a memorable turn in Knocked Up.
She looks